I wasn't alive for the Selma March with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. My eyes never witnessed Malcolm X deliver the speech, Message to the Grassroots. Nor did I bear witness to the revolution led by Thomas Sankara. But here I stand to bear witness to the tremendous outpour of support for President Ibrahim Traoré. I can hear the voices of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and Thomas Sankara cheering Black unity on. But how about that march in New York? Let's discuss right after this. Black people have been uniting everywhere, all in support of President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso. But this recent march really took me because y'all know I am a born and raised New Yorker. And seeing New York show up and show out the way that they did, I was watching like, yes, New York, that is what I'm talking about. But New York really does have a very strong history of African Americans. We have overcame and accomplished so much. And what I love most about New York is that we know a thing or two about unity. So for us, it's just in our blood to show that outpour of support when it's needed. We have all heard the tragic story of George Floyd, and that is a prime example of the overwhelming support that we bring to the community when it's needed. It's been quite unfortunate in the past that it's been tragic moments that has brought us together in unity in New York. So to see an outpour in the streets of New York City in support of President Ibrahim Traoré, it was a moment in history that we all needed. It shouldn't take a devastating moment to bring us together. This should be something that we're able to do just because. I remember growing up as a little girl and having family gatherings. All of our family would come together. Don't let it be Thanksgiving or Christmas, because we were gathering, getting together as a family, coming together in unity, even friends, family. Half of the time, friends showing up to the dinner that the family don't even know, but we always embrace people with open arms. And that's been our culture in New York. It still is to this day, but I think it's just been a little overshadowed by the oppressive nature of America. Remembering my childhood and seeing the outpour of support in the New York City streets for President Traoré really brought me back to my childhood, remembering those moments when we all came together as a family. And it seems that now that I'm grown, family just isn't as close-knit as it used to be. It's like the Black family is off doing their own thing individually, and there's no collectiveness when it comes to unity in the household. Now, I'm not saying that that is true for every Black family, but I can only speak for me personally, and I can also say the same for Africa because I too have witnessed the same here. And it's about time that we start coming together, not only as a family, but as a community. But first and foremost, we have to find a way to come together in our personal, individual families first. Because if you don't have that unity within your own family system, how can you have that unity for brothers and sisters that you're still getting to know? And we all know how it can be when we all get together. There is clashes, there is emotion, sometimes tempers is flaring. Let's just be honest, because that's just what comes with us. But knowing that, it's important that we heal as a people, that we do the necessary inner work so that when certain things are taking place and certain disagreements are happening, that we're not taking it so personally within our community, because that's a big issue for us too. We get into these disagreements with one another and we take things so personally. And then the first thing that we want to do is tear each other down. And there's a difference, okay? Let's just address this because I already see what direction people are going to come from. I don't mean speaking up and being vocal about situations. That is completely different than trying hard to tear another person down. Speaking up and being vocal about various topics that are hurting our community is valid, it's very necessary, and it's going to be the determining factor for change, because where there is no voice, change will not happen. Look at President Ibrahim Traoré, for example. If he had no voice in this whole situation with Burkina Faso, the world would not know about him. But because he's been so vocal about the atrocities that have been committed against Burkina Faso and the various challenges that has been happening in the country, it's helped to elevate his stance. It's helped to elevate his position. and it's helped to put him into a position so the world can hear him. So speaking out against various atrocities and events and against various injustices and against various circumstances that is not helping our community is very necessary. So please, let's not get that confused. Now, tearing down your brother or your sister is a completely different topic of conversation. For example, say that you are involved in a disagreement with your brother or your sister, and immediately you're discussing all of the personal information that you know about him or her. Or it could be a close friend, because I've also seen this amongst close friends in our community so often, where they get into a disagreement about something and immediately they start either pouring out each other's business or bashing each other, pouring out secrets, exposing every intimate moment that they may know about that person. And it makes you look at the person sideways, because really, this is someone that I have been trusting all of this time, and it's like a stab to your heart. But we have to understand as a community that hurt people, and likewise, healed people heal people. We have to move to the side of healing so that we can overcome things as a community and not take things so personal when we feel like things aren't going our way. Another issue within our community is that we don't vocalize. We internalize a lot. We suppress necessary conversations that need to be had. And we try to forget about traumas as they happen to us. Instead of discussing the situation right then and there and addressing it, we kind of try to sweep it under the rug and act like it never happened. And this has been the worst thing that could have ever been introduced into our community. We have to be vocal about our hurt. We have to be vocal when we feel we are disrespected. And it doesn't have to be all about shouting and cursing, but you can, in a nice way, pull your brother or sister to the side and express how you feel. Because you're discussing how you feel and because you're being open and honest, it doesn't make you weak, but in fact, it makes you even stronger, because you're no longer holding on to that baggage, and you're no longer holding animosity against your brother and your sister for something that they probably didn't even know they did. Sometimes things happen and we take it personally. Meanwhile, the person is just clueless and oblivious to what just transpired. But we aren't exactly mind readers. So unless you express how you feel about a situation, how do you expect your brother or your sister to apologize or to understand where you're coming from? As Black people, if we're going to move forward in unity, it has to start with having very difficult conversations that oftentimes we don't want to have. And let's also face the fact that a lot of times when we're offended by something, in our minds we feel kind of like, why am I even getting upset about this? But at the same time, you're upset about it. So instead of just vocalizing how we feel about a situation and being open and honest about that, we tend to shy away from it. Don't want to cause any problems or bring any drama. But what we're not understanding oftentimes is that by bottling up those emotions and holding them inside is doing you more harm than good in the long run, because it's going to take that one incident, that one situation for you to lash out at that person and ruin a whole friendship or family ship. So it's imperative. If you are offended, go to that person and express, have a conversation, and you don't need the world in on it. You don't need to blast it on social media. You don't need to go blast it to each and every person. You need to go directly to that person and address the issue at hand. And if you're in a situation and you feel like addressing it with that person is not going to do you any justice, try to bring in a mediator. Try to bring in someone who can help facilitate that conversation so that you can move past it. Because I promise you that whatever issue that you're having with someone, it's worth the conversation to just hash things out rather than to walk around life with a grudge. Witnessing the march in New York helps me to reflect on the resiliency that we have in the Black community. It helps me to reflect on the fact that we can overcome any challenge that is put our way. I think it's about time that we start having these discussions and healing, because without healing, it will always be trauma. It will always be layers and layers and layers of trauma, because we have been through so much as a people. And generational trauma is very real in the genes of Black people everywhere. And this is a topic that must be addressed within our community. We need to start having these in-depth conversations about trauma. And what I mean by genetic trauma is trauma that has been passed on to you from generations ago, and you're not even aware of it. Certain responses that you have to situations, and even certain ways that you go about handling situations can sometimes be a direct relation to a trauma that has been genetically passed on to you. Emotions travel. So think about slavery. Think about those moments when slaves were impregnated. Think about those moments when a slave may have been impregnated by way of an unjust way, if you get what I mean. And think about the trauma that that slave is now passing on to that unborn fetus. Because a woman absolutely passes on her emotions to an unborn child. So that trauma is being passed into the fetus. That trauma is being born. And that trauma is then going to continue to be passed on from generation to generation. And that's what we've been seeing in our community. And it will never end until we decide to put an end to it. And by putting an end to it, it first starts with having conversations just like this. We're off to an amazing, great start, and we came together for something, even if it was just to support the very resilient President Ibrahim Traoré. And if we need to start having these in-depth discussions down the line, at least we've come together in that respect for a greater purpose and a greater good. And we count it all joy, no matter how we come together, just like those family functions. We've had moments where we fuss and we fight, but at the end of the day, we're just grateful and thankful that we've been able to come together on Thanksgiving. We've been grateful and thankful that we've been able to come together on Christmas. These various holidays that we have celebrated within our community has always been the foundation to keep us together and keep us united. And I want to see more of that within our community. I want to see us start to put our differences to the side. I want to see us start to vocalize in a respectful way how we feel without lashing out or trying to tear each other down. Because at the end of the day, we are all human and we all come with varying personalities and various ways of thought. So it's all a matter of how can we embody all of this personality and all of these varying thoughts and move as one body and not divided the way that we have been. So I think it's important now we start having these little workshops and these conversations to get more in depth, to dig deeper than the surface. Yay for us, yay for Black unity, yay for Black excellence, and I am so very proud of us. That is it for today's video. I hope you got something out of it. Drop a comment down below and let me know what your thoughts are on this topic. We now have a store right here on YouTube, Sacred Minerals, or you can visit sacredminerals.org. We also have membership levels, so consider joining one of the memberships and helping support the efforts of the channel. One of the ambassadors of Burkina Faso and I will be going live this Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to discuss citizenship in Burkina Faso in detail. During the discussion, you will have the opportunity to drop your comments live and get them answered right on the spot. You will also have the opportunity to ask any questions it is that you have and get all of the information that you need to get in order to be a part of the next citizenship opportunity that will be happening in Burkina Faso. And I also had somebody reach out to me today, and I'm so grateful. You know who you are. Thank you for reaching out and inquiring about translation services. Thanks to this question, we will be having a French translator in the live discussion to be able to translate in case there may be some barriers with the language. So thank you again for reaching out to me and asking me that very important question, one that I didn't consider. And I think I have to start thinking more of the fact that we are all coming from various points of the earth, and I have to start considering translators. So at least for this live discussion, we will have a French translator. You've tuned into Just Vlog. My name is Melody, and I will see y'all on the next video.